membership and how important that is. Now, look at page 59, because on there you'll see elephant level of membership. Now, what we're looking for, we cannot run the organization on the cheapest membership. We need is people to come in at the maximum level that they possibly can, because it takes a lot of money to run this show. And so we're going to first of all encourage people to come in at the level of one of these elephant levels, and there's some benefits in doing so. And if you go back to page 57, you can see that the lapel pin and the elephant plaques are some benefits of coming in at different levels. So that's an important factor. Okay, the next thing, go to page 63. Now, why do we need money? You know, we were talking about Lindsey Graham coming in August, and he had originally committed to come, and we were busy trying to get a rally put together. That rally was going to cost $10,000. So, you know, it doesn't come cheap. And a $15 membership will not make us be able to support that kind of rally. So, you know, I just say that so that you understand that as we come into next year, we're going to need some money in order to make things happen for our candidates. And if we're going to make Florence County red, particularly Florence City red, we're going to have to spend some money. Okay, so that's important. So let's go forward. Now go to the precinct tab. You all at the precinct tab? Now the first page that you have there is a blank page. For you committee men, this is your management tool. And when you have somebody that says, you know, I'll go ahead and canvass this street. Well, you'll go and grab that spreadsheet for that particular street, and you'll say, and you'll sign that street out to them. I have Paul Nairn, he's already signed out Yellowstone and Yosemite, those streets he's taking care of for me. And I got Dan Weatherford on Myrtle Drive. So, you know, that's going to be your control sheet. Now, each month, I'm going to want you ECs to make sure that you find out how many what percentage of the work is done on those particular sheets, so that then you can report back to me what the progress is, so that then at the monthly meeting we can kind of give an idea of where we are. Because if we come to the end of the year and we still have 90% to do, it won't happen. So we've got to make sure that we're making progress. Okay, turn the sheet. Now on here we talked about different colors. Okay, and what was the gold? 80 and above. The yellow? 65. 65 to 79. And what is the important thing about those people?
Absentee voting.
Okay, you want to promote absentee voting. Okay, is that clear? Okay, that's so important that we need to promote absentee voting. Okay. One other thing I need to mention. This data, as Mike had said earlier, this is critical data. Even though it's lousy data, you know, it's still critical. It's people's individual data. We need to protect that. And that's why we have this log, to make sure that we have accountability for every one of these sheets. I don't want any duplication. I don't want you to duplicate sheets and say, well, I'll copy of this. Just don't do it. We need to make sure that these stay in control. If you run a copy of it, it's out of control, so don't do that. Okay?
Ray, when do they take off the deceased names?
When do they what?
Take off the deceased people that have deceased.
Today?
8 years. Oh, anytime.
8 years after they die.
18.
8 years after. Is there a way to get, if we report back that they are deceased, can we speed up that process?
Well, if we put the information on there, and we give this to David Alford, then he can, the only thing he can do is to query it. And the chances of, with the workload he's got, that probably won't get done. And this goes back, let me comment. What should we do? It goes back to Philip again. What should we ask Philip to do? Change the law.
Have the coroner send a copy of the death certificate to the election commission.
And if you do that within 90 days, it's over.
Well, whatever they do for the social security system, that works, those checks.
I know. The problem is, I've already talked to Philip, and he just goes,
A couple of days.
I talked to Philip, he goes berserk. He says, you don't know what kind of difficulty it is. Anytime you talk about changing election laws of any type, he says the Democrats just go crazy because that's where they win
Yeah.
election.
Because they can keep dead people voting for the next
Right.
2
8
presidential
years.
cycles.
Right. So that's important. Yeah.
Are the laws really soft also on consequences for voter fraud?
Or what?
Are the laws really soft, like against people who are caught?
I don't think they are. I think if you actually get caught with voter fraud, wasn't this lady, she just went to jail for 5 or 6 years? If you get caught with voter fraud, I think the laws like that. But that's probably a discussion for another time.
Yeah, yeah.
Greg, when are we trying to accomplish?
I know looking over my list,
Now,
I have people who are
Between now,
deceased.
between now and the end of the year,
The end of December of 19?
this year.
This year.
We want to be ready for next year. You got a big job. I feel for you, okay? Okay, so
Ray, how current is this list that we have here?
this list is a 2018 election list, the latest we got.
Okay, 'cause
My name's not on
Of course.
His name's not on it.
Okay,
Okay, we'll get to that.
right.
We'll get to that. Okay, let's hold the questions.
Yeah.
Write down, if you need to ask a question,
Write it
you
down.
write it down so I can get through this, okay? Okay, the next thing I wanted to cover is, it's not too late to assign additional people to ECs if we don't have one in an area, presidents, vice presidents, secretaries. We can go ahead and do that. They won't become official until the next two years, but they can be a help in getting this work done, and they can be part of your organization to have your particular precinct function.
They can
That's
become an
important.
acting secretary or acting.
Acting,
whatever
right, as an
position.
acting. That's a good point. And you don't have to be an officer to do this work. You can, one of the things I was talking to David Rast about, we need to get the youth to help, particularly with Glenn Baum, because it's gonna be tough to get that done. And they can go out and they can canvass. We have to give them some training, but
And just to make mention about what Cindy said a while ago, is that if you get your precinct finished, and then we find out that Glenn still has 800 homes to hit, we can set up a Saturday and a group of us just go hit his precinct.
right.
I mean, you're not stuck with your own precinct. This is a group effort. But we have to have someone in charge of the precincts that has this data, because it's so important that these corrections that we make are going to go to David Alford. If someone has moved and not registered correctly, we're gonna turn this data in there, and he's gonna talk about the columns in just a second. Go ahead.
Okay, we're ready to start talking about it. First of all, at the top of the page, you will see your precinct number, your precinct name, the number of households that are in your precinct. And so I divided that by 50 and saying that if you can get 50 canvas people contacted in a day, I put a number there for the number of days of canvassing that you'd have. This is a rough idea. Now, let's go across the next, go down to the next row. Index. That is a critical index there. You will be using that index if you go ahead and put information.
Index is right here. I'm gonna help
Right,
you look.
okay.
That's where the index is on your sheet, okay?
Okay,
Or
so,
left column. Right.
okay, on the left column. And then you'll have the last name of the household. Now, the next name will be, it could be any one of the number of voters in that household. But the last name was the only one that's gonna appear on this list. So, for instance, with Billy and Paul, Billy's name was first. Paul wasn't on there. So when we talked about it, we said, well, Billy doesn't want to do certain things, Paul says he will. Okay, that's great, and we'll address that in a minute. Okay, so you got the last name, the first name, the house number, the address. Now, I put the city there, and generally the city will be the same if they haven't moved. But if they've moved and the people who are living there knows where the other people moved to, I'm going to ask you to grab, if you look in the back of the resources, you'll see a page that says Precinct Grassroots Canvassing Blank Form. You see that?
Not yet. You know what? Very last tab.
It's a blank page.
One second now.
You should have 4 of them in the back there.
Yes, I found it.
Okay, so that,
The registration form.
okay, where you see the index there, you'll put the index number from your spreadsheet on that line, and then you can put your data in there for where you can't get it on that.
What we have at the back is that Florence County GOP canvas poll for sheriff.
No,
Is in front of it.
yeah,
It's in front of it.
keep going. Anybody else having problems?
So wait,
Okay. It's in the last tab.
so Jim, Franklin on this
Just make a note, we'll get it for you. It's just a blank sheet of this. All he's
Is it
talking,
one sheet?
yeah, all he's talking about is this, he's got a blank sheet of this in the back.
Yes, just like
If
that
you
with no
don't, if
information.
you don't have them, just let us know, we'll get some for you, okay?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think
Write it down on your
It's
sheet,
right after
and
the
then we'll
vote,
come back
poll
to
worker
you.
vote thing.
Okay? But
It's poll worker, Florence County poll worker
apparently we didn't
application
get
is
it
right
in. That
after
was
that.
one of the things we did since we've been here.
Or right before the
Well,
sheriff's
it may
canvas.
be different on,
Oh, okay.
because they threw that in there tonight after we got here. So it could have gotten mixed up. So if you don't have it, write that down on someplace on your notebook where, why don't you put it on that resource page and just write on there that you're looking for that. And we got some more, we'll get them for you. Okay, so that index number.
Okay, let's have your attention back, okay?
Okay, you see the index number, okay? If you have some additional information that you can't get on that second line right here, did I do something?
Not yet.
Okay, go to that blank page, put that index number on there, and then write in there what information that you picked up from those people at that location.
That'll just connect it back to.
That just connects it back, right?
Any information?
any information.
So that blank line is not to fill in the correct
Well,
information?
we'll get to that in a minute,
Okay.
okay? If there's not enough room on that line, and if it relates to somebody who used to live there, you definitely won't have room for that. Now, let's go back to your question. If, as you go across there, and you see the data that's in that first line there, and let's say some of it's wrong, go to that very next line and very carefully print very well, the correct information.
He needs to say that about 50 times,
Yeah,
but he doesn't have enough time to say that 50 times to print. We gotta put this data in a spreadsheet, so that we can call these people who need absentee ballots in January to remind them to pre-register for their absentee ballots. Because we're gonna be following up with this data, so please, that's why I say this book is gold. I mean, once we start getting real data in here, it's gonna be something, especially, I know I'm talking off the air, especially if we get their email address.
right. Because then we can contact them. The most important thing is to verify the personal data about that individual. Because if we get that personal information about the data, we'll have their phone number, we'll have their email address, and we can get back to them. If we can't do anything else, that's got to be accurate. But I'm going to ask you to make sure that everything is accurate.
Ray, one question. If Annie Davis don't live there, and somebody else is a Republican and they live there, do we put their name on the second line?
Put that on that additional
Oh, that's
sheet.
here, not there.
And
Right.
use the index number here on the
To
blank
reference
form
it.
to reference back to where you got where you did that.
Yeah, okay.
Because that ties the address and everything back together.
Okay,
Okay.
Mal?
The blank line in between all the data is only for corrections to the line above.
Right, that's correct.
Right.
Okay?
Mal, Mo?
If I understand correctly, what we're trying to do from now until the end of the year is take this information that we have and verify the information that we have that is correct and add any additional information that we can
Improve
get
it,
from these
right.
people.
That's-
And we can do that by personal contact or by phone.
Well, hold that. The answer is no, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Okay, and I'll tell you why. It needs to be a canvas. Okay, let's say that you're talking with somebody and you walk it all the way through, and I'm not concerned about their gender or their age, but I am concerned about their address, about their email, about their telephone number, and then it says signed, approved, changes. We want that person to sign, the person who lives there, the person whose household it is, to sign there. Okay? That's why you can't do it on the telephone. Because then this will go to the election commission, and they will see that this document was approved by that individual, and it has so much more value to them than if you signed it. Okay? You want them to sign it.
What do you do about protecting other people's, I mean, if they're signing all this other stuff?
I tell you what, when we get to the role play, you'll see that they aren't going to have time for that. Okay?
Right. Right. I have
Yes.
a question. All right, if we go to Annie's house and Annie says, my mom was moved in with me, do we put that on, and she's gonna live with her now? Do
Right.
we put this on
Put it on
that
that-
extra blank sheet?
On that blank sheet and tie it to it.
Tie it to that index.
Right. And that's great. That's great information. Yes.
I have one concern there, where they're supposed to sign. I think you're gonna be hard pressed for anybody to have enough room to put their signature there.
Well,
Especially when you've got elderly folks trying to.
You're just gonna have to do the best you can.
do the best you
What if
can.
they put
Because
their first initial and their last name or something?
well, they, as long as it's their signature, whether it's first initial and last name, that's fine.
I was
But
gonna suggest that maybe just.
I don't want initials.
First initial and last name.
that's fine. I just don't want initials because they can't use that.
Right,
Okay?
but a full name, you can be hard pressed to.
Oh, you're right. If you put Archie Raymond Kingsbury, you'd never get it in there.
Uh-huh,
But A.R. Kingsbury, you might. And that's legitimate. Okay, so now we're at the point where we've got that sign.
Ray, one quick thing. This is a walking canvas sheet. I know he mentioned this, but I want to say it again. These are sorted by street name first, then the street number. So if you see Second Loop, you're going to see all of Second Loop right there in order for you to walk right down the street.
Right down the street.
So that's one of the beauties of how this walking data is good.
Okay, now, that's only the Republican people that are on that street. The people who voted Republican in a primary. So the Democrats aren't on there. Okay? But that doesn't mean that if somebody moved in who was a Democrat and they're willing to give you the data, go ahead and put that data on that blank sheet, and at the end of it, just put a D over in the column, and I'll know that that's a Democrat. But if you can convert them to being a Republican, that's even better. Now, if you convert them to Christ, that's even the best.
Let me give you
Right.
Let me give you an anecdotal thing this morning. I have a group of men I meet with, and I get there early. And the manager of this place is the African-American guy. We're sitting there talking things, and we started quoting Bibles, verses, and different stuff. We started talking. He's a pastor, and he is more conservative than I am. He is more spiritual than I am. And I go to church a whole bunch, folks, not to say enough. But if we will take our platform that you saw and just ask them, just ask the Democrat, why are you a Democrat? Do you know they've gotten rid of God? Do you know they kill babies after it's amazing. Stuff like that. Just today, so this man's going to be coming to our meetings in the next few months. So it can be done with the Democrats. We just have to be bold enough to do it.
Okay, let's go through this, and then we'll get to the reality of how we do it. A role play. The next is, will you attend a meeting? Take a look at this. You all have one before you?
Yes.
Okay, take a look at it. Now keep those rubber bands, because you don't want to have this all over the place, but you can take one of them. What I would suggest you do is put at least holes in one of these and put it in your notebook, and the rest of them have available to pass out. But on here, it covers who you are, the fact that we meet the second Monday of each month, tells them where we meet, and what the time is that we meet. It also says we have a keynote speaker, and we start with the refreshments at 6:30, and we have door prizes. So there's a lot of information on there. But the important thing is on the back, and this is where, if you have an opportunity to run into a Democrat, what I would say is, well, you're a Democrat, right?
Right.
Here's what we believe. And would you read down through there and tell me what part of that you don't believe? Do you believe that there is a God?
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe in prayer? Consequential and effective. Do you believe in the right to life from conception to natural death?
Being a Democrat, no.
You don't? Okay, let's say that you don't. Now, I ran into a Democrat today, and he says, "I believe that, but I'm not going to convert anybody else to my belief." And I says, "Is that allowing you to allow somebody else to kill somebody? Is that a death? If somebody else does it?" Well, I guess it is. Well, think about that when you go forward. Limited government. Just go down through each one of those and they say, "Boy, I believe every one of those." Then what that says is the Democratic Party has left you. You didn't leave it, because they don't believe in God. They seldom, the meetings that I've been at, they haven't prayed, and they don't believe the right to life. Okay? So, if this is what you believe, we need you to come and visit with us.
Then you say, welcome to the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Republican Party. Okay? Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all can do that, right? That's not hard. It's right there before you. Now, at that point, since I got this in my hand, if you go up to the door and nobody's there, I'm going to ask you to put this on the door. Okay? And that way they will know that you were there. They will know what we believe. And it's going to be very, very effective. Okay? That being said, let's go on. Okay, after the door hanger, let's look at membership. That's the next column. And it says, try to sell the elephant membership if you can. Remember we talked about it, right? It's in the book, right? So study the book so you know, remember the elephants, okay? And so, you know, go ahead and try to sell the elephant membership. Now, if you have a question about the membership, go to that last section, in that last group, and you'll have copies of the application right there. So if you aren't sure what it is, it's right there. And if you have somebody working with you and going out, well, give them some of these. And in front of your notebooks, you'll have several of them in the back, and there's some additional ones that are available there on the table for you. Now, if somebody just can't afford an elephant, we still want them. They're valuable. And whatever level that they can do it, they can join at. We want them to join. If it's at a $5 student level, or a $15 senior, or a $20 individual, you know, we want the people. People are valuable. It's the most important thing. However, from a financial standpoint, if you can join at a higher level, we need you. Okay? We need you to do that. Okay.
Who do they make the check out
So
to?
if they are, let's say that they're interested. Let's say they say, yeah, I'd really like to do that. You can say, well, why don't you take one of these? Why don't you fill it out? And the next meeting that we have, you already committed that you're going to come. Would you bring that with you? And bring your check, or bring your cash, or bring your credit card. Okay? Now, if you want to mail it in, the information's right there. You can go ahead and put your check in an envelope with this, mail it in according to here, or put your credit card information on the back and send that in, and we can get you signed up. Okay? So that takes care of that. So then, and if they do that, go ahead and put a yes, or put a Y in that column that yes, they're interested in membership. If they're already members, put an M there, because they're already members. Okay? If they're, let's see, if they took an application, put a Y there, dash A for application. They took the application. That way we can follow up with them. I'm still following up with Ken Art. And his application is still on my desk. I'm gonna catch him yet. Okay, the next thing is the poll workers. Okay, now we already talked about what poll workers is and what the importance of it is, and that it's a paid position, paid for training and so forth. If they're interested, put a Y in that column. If they're not interested, just emphatically not interested, then just put an N, and don't worry about it. Don't be ugly. One of the things I put on here, there's never a second time to make a good first impression, right? So let's always keep it positive, okay? So you can turn the page. We're getting close to the end. Next is absentee balloting. So if it's a gold or a yellow, we know that they qualify for absentee ballot, right?